heading first, energy estimation of a wind. And this is one of the important derivation that will be asked in your exam. So in the last class and all, we discussed about the power parameter that P is equals to A V cube. Means based on the velocity, your power was going to change. So here also we are going to specify in terms of density and what is the velocity, how much area will be considered, and what is the kinetic energy we are considering to find out the total power available in wind per unit area. So hope you can see the formula here. P naught has been given as half. Let us consider this as a mv square, because if you take any of the energy formula, so that is written as half mv square. So here we are talking about with the wind energy. So we are going to write the specifications like rho a mu naught into mu naught square. So here it is very clearly given what exactly this mu naught. So mu naught is the speed of the free wind in uninterrupted state. So that is given in terms is available. Then the volume of the air column passing through an area. So because you are going to specify how much area you're considering for the calculation. It is not worldwide what is the available area, you cannot take it up. You're selecting the particular area of the system, and within that what exactly the air passing with a particular velocity will be calculated. So that's what area has been represented. You can write it as area per unit time that can be given by a mu naught. Okay, and next rho is the parameter. We already know rho is nothing but a density. So here we are considering in terms of density of the air. Okay, so in that air mass of flow rate, and that will be considered through particular area. So within that, how much density can be flowing. So we are giving it as rho a mu naught into mu naught square. So here power P naught available in the wind can be considered as equal to the kinetic energy, which is associated with mass of a moving air. So mass of air means that is the weight particles which are presenting from and creating the movement in the system. So that kinetic energy has been considered here. So P naught is equals to half into rho a mu naught into mu square. So you can write it as a simplified version, rho a mu naught into mu naught become mu naught square. So you can write it as rho a into mu naught cube. Okay, but you want to find it with respect to area, means power with respect to area. So take that a on the left side and your answer will be half rho mu naught cube. So power available per unit area can be written as half into rho into mu naught cube, and mu naught is nothing but the speed of the wind in uninterrupted state. Please note down this formula, because in some problems we guys are going to use this, and that can be asked for some 4 marks. Estimate the energy of a wind system, so that can be asked. Are you writing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, copy down that. Finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next heading, please note down power extraction from wind. Power extraction from wind. So as I specified in the last case, area plays a very important role to carry out the mass of the air, means that is the kinetic energy movement in the system. So that will be specified considering this diagram, how we are upstream and downstream of a power will take place, and construction of rotor, and how much of air will be swiped by the system. So swiped by the turbines, because we know that the wind energy, like or wind turbine, mainly use it for harnessing your mechanical power from the wind, because mechanical power has to be prepared, like you need to get it from that wind. So that rotation has to be get it, and the rotor of the turbine will going to collect the energy which is swept by the rotor. So it has to swept, then only we can get the mechanical movement. So it is very much necessary for us to go for an analysis. Means we need to consider the rotor and what is the actuator disc, and how your pressure will be increases and decreases, or how you are going to extract the energy. So every time we are going to find out what will be the air mass flow. You can see the inner and outer space. So where you can justify that how much air is going on. So what is the actual flow of air within the stream tube? So tube shapes can be different, right? The stream tube can be changed. So normally this process will be carried out because there is two changes. One is upstream, another one is the downstream. So pressure can be differ, and the mechanical movement of the rotor will going to differ, and output will be differs. So that's what it is necessary for us to simplify the system. So we need to find out what is the air mass flow rate, and in the tube, and what is the speed. And definitely your speed will going to decreases as the air expanded. So this normally we call this tube of structure, whatever we are considering in this diagram, called as a Betz model for expanding the air stream tube. So this figure 7.10, whatever you're observing, these two kinds, or to explaining how the airflow can be done, how the pressure will be decreased. Okay, and everywhere you can see the term in terms of A itself, area that can be written as A naught, that is the upstream, and in the middle we have a A1, so where the air is passing through the rotor, and after that we have a downstream, and that is represented with A1. Hope is this visible? I just enlarge this. So you are getting a three different parameter: A0, A1, A2. A0 is upstream, A1 is the mid of the rotor, means while the passing through the rotor position, that A2 has been taken, area of cross section, and A2 is represented as a downstream. At the end you can find the downstream. And mu0, we already know that is the speed of the wind. Upstream, like you can see, upstream and as well as the downstream. You can divide this mu0 as for upstream, and this is between the in-between case, and mu0 can be considered as a downstream air section. And at the same time you can see Z0 and Z2. So means you are segregating for each cases of lower stream and upper stream and the midstream. Okay, so in this case you can observe the first equation I written in terms of M. M is nothing but rho A0 into mu0. You can write it with respect to the area where it is present. At the first step, if it is present, then you can write A0 mu0. If it is at the mid of the portion, you can write it as A1 mu1. Or it is present at the dead end, then you can write it as a A2 mu2. Okay, so mass of a system can be depend upon the position where exactly this is assessing. So first case, we have substituted the equation for all the three cases: A0, A1, A2, or mu0, mu1, mu2. And is already we know mu0 and mu2 or the wind speeds which are of upstream, and one more of lower stream. Same thing has been given here, mu0 and mu2 or wind speed upstream and downstream respectively. And here it is necessary to find out the rotor movement, because the rotor movement can be increased or decreased based on the pressure, and how much it flows, which area is accessible. So that will going to affect the reduction or a reduction in the movement per unit time, and that is given as air mass flow rate. M can be given as m0 into mu0 minus m0 m dot, you can don't say not, m dot mu0 minus m dot mu2. Means at upstream to the downstream, that difference will going to create the force on the system. So capital F is equals to difference of streams has been considered, and this force will be applied by the air at uniform airflow speed of mu1. Means this mu1 is existing in between, right? So you can say that equally it is distributed between upstream and downstream. So that is passing through the actuator disc, that is of a mid of a turbine. So you can write the turbine power. So that's what it is written PT. PT is representing a turbine power at mid of the suction where it is balancing between upstream as well as in the downstream. So you guys can write that as F into mu1. What is F1? Already you know m dot mu naught minus m dot mu2 into mu1. So that will going to give you the midstream value, because you can ask, ma'am, only you are considering upstream and downstream. Where is the mid portion? That's what midstream is equally distributed between the two cases. You guys are going to write that as PT is F mu1, and F mu1 can be written as m dot mu naught minus mu2 into mu1. Okay, so this is just a midpoint. You have taken the formula. But I want to find out the power extracted from the wind due to your kinetic energy per unit time. Because in the last case, we know that energy estimated will be considered in terms of a kinetic energy, is it? Half into mu naught cube you got. So same thing has to be applied here. Is the slide is visible? Rashmi, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
I have moved to the next slide, that's what. Okay. So as I said, we need to find out the power extracted with respect to your kinetic energy. Kinetic energy means what? Half mv square. So that can be written as mu naught square minus mu2 square, a square minus b square. Fine. So you can write that equation like comparing the equations of 7.7 and 7.8. So 7.7 is what? M naught, m dot into mu naught minus mu2 into mu1. Similarly, another formula is half m into mu naught square minus mu naught 1. So if you equate these two equations, so you are going to get mu1 as mu naught plus mu2 by 2. Please check out this. After substituting the equation 1.7 and 7.8, you guys are going to get the mid value, mid airstream value. So next thing is we need to find out the total power coefficient, that is CP is required. So I need to elaborate the equations. So you are going to assume with the extreme cases, because worst cases also very much necessary to determine the power. So that's what we are considering as a mu naught. So mu naught to be 0 under extreme cases means that is mu naught is what? Downstream, is it? Which is not practical, as downstream air must have some kinetic energy to leave the turbine region, because this is not mandatory that it has to be going to have a downstream always. So that's what they, which is not practically, as downstream air must have must have the kinetic energy. So you can write that mu1 is equals to mu naught by 2. Here in the equation, what you did, you are neglected that mu2. There is no restriction that you need to have a mu2 always, means downstream value should exist. So you can make that as a 0. So that's according to this linear momentum theory, the airspeed through the actuator disk cannot be less than the half the speed of the upstream air. Means here they're specifying with the theory same as your FT and all. So they're specifying the momentary theory, the air speed should not or cannot, you say, actuator disk cannot be less than, it should not be less than half, because half was existing, not less than the speed of the upstream. So considering that, see, an interference factor A is defined as a fractional wind speed decreases at the turbine. So fractional speed has been considered here. So that is A is equals to mu naught minus mu1, because mu2 you are neglected. It is not mandatory that it has to exist in every cases. So regulating that, you're going for starting upper stream and the midstream. So mu naught and mu1 divided by mu naught, or else you can make the arrangement and you can take it up. See here A is existing, so you can make the common version 1 minus A into mu naught, or else you can write it as A into mu naught minus mu2 divided by 2 mu naught. Means you have a multiple options of writing this. And this A parameter, we are going to say it as induction or pre-turbine factor. This A is added as a fractional wind speed decreaser at the turbine. So you can add the A, and that will act as a perturbation factor. Okay, so now considering the equation from the beginning, like 7.5. So first equation, that is substituting m dot for all the cases. Next is with what is the force, what is the turbine power and wind power, is it? Then the last case with fractional factor. So what is the equation we are getting it? So when you do the substitution, you're going to get an answer called PT is equals to 4a1 minus a square into half rho at into mu naught cube. Means sorry, a1 in the sense middle of the area, a1 into mu naught cube. So if you compare the equation, earlier we had a 7.4th equation where it was representing the standard formula. So this is our standard formula of power. So P naught by A is equals to half rho into mu naught cube. So this will be considered in this equation. So if you substitute half rho A1 mu naught cube as a PT, then your equation become PR is equals to CP into P naught. So comparing with that equation, you can simplify and make it in a shorter form that total power. So that is equals to, or you can say coefficient of power, that is equals to CP into P naught. Okay. So this value, by considering the last part of that downstream, sorry, yeah, downstream will not exist and you're considering the mid portion and as well as the fraction of the condition. So your PT will become CP into P naught. Or else you can write that as 4A into 1 minus A square. So this whole term is acting as a CP. And this is your power with respect to that turbine. So again, they specified what is that. CP is the fractional of the available power in the wind and which can be considered or known as power coefficient. So CP is equals to 4A into 1 minus A square. Okay. So under no load, under load condition, what is the changes? You can take it up. So they specified when no load is coupled to the turbine, the blade just free wheel. Means if you're not without load, you can run. You should not run. If that is the case, also just act as a free wheel blades. And you don't have any reduction in the speed at the turbine, and your value of the speed existing at upstream, downstream, midstream almost equal. So you are going to say that as mu1 is equals to mu naught. And your value of A, which is giving a fractional change in the system, will be 0. And your turbine does not generate any power whenever your CP value, that is fractional value, doesn't exist, then CP is equals to 0. And air just passes through the turbine without any reduction of speed. So if CP is 0, then definitely your air will just pass as it is without affecting the speed of a system. Okay, so this is just a simplified version they have shown for the cases of no power generation, maximum power generation, turbine downstream, and as well as the standstill condition. Means if your A value is not there, then what is the effect? If A values are available with different fraction values, and what is that? Because A plays an important role, right? If A is 0, you can see there is no power generation. Means you cannot find any movement in the system. Mu1 is equal to mu naught, mu2 is equal to mu naught, no power. Everything gets cancelled. But second case, you are assuming there is some value for the upstream, that is 2/3 of the downstream we can consider. Similarly, mu naught. So downstream is 1/3 time of the upstream. So then in this case, if U2 is greater than U1, then your output will be higher value because your fraction of A is 1/3. Similarly, second case, if you take U1 is equals to half mu naught and U2 is equal to 0, then it is under turbine under downstream condition. Your output will be medium. You can say half of the output. So A is 1/2. Last case, standstill. Whenever your upstream is 0, then nothing will be changes. It will act as a standstill portion. Okay. So these are the different criterias where are affecting the wind speed. So you can see the equations here. U1 is equals to 2/3 into mu naught, and U2 is equals to 1/3 times of mu naught. And try to remember the standard value of a CP, because CP increases as your U1 decreases. Means proportionality coefficient will going to increase whenever your midstream value decreases. And standard value of CP is 16/27, and you can remember that as a 0.593. and that will occur at the fraction of A is equal to 1 by 3. That's what they given the condition 1 by 3 for different cases. U1 is equals to 2 by 3 at mid portion, and mu2 is equals to 1 by 3 mu naught at the downstream portion. Okay, so this is the important derivation, and corresponding to that you can find the CP curve for the changes of a fraction. So you can find out your CP on the y-axis and A parameter on the x-axis. So as the value of A increases, your CP is also giving output corresponding to that. So increases, you can see A 1 by 3, A 1 by 2, and A is equals to 1. So we are getting a CP curve. So CP is nothing but a power coefficient curve. And this concept was explained by using a Betts criterion, because you're assuming the fraction, you're assuming the downstream, upstream, and all. So that criteria we call as a Betts criteria. Okay, this is one of the